Players ask me constantly, what are the real signs a slot machine is about to pay out? After 14 years working inside casinos, I'm finally revealing the truth. And I'm warning you, almost everything you've been told is a profitable lie. I spent 14 years as a casino operations employee at properties in Nevada, New Jersey, and tribal casinos across 4 states. My responsibilities included monitoring machine performance data, analyzing player behavior patterns, coordinating floor layouts, and training staff on player retention tactics. Every single shift, I watched players lose thousands of dollars chasing myths that casinos actively encourage, because these lies keep you playing longer and losing more. You've suspected that casinos spread misinformation about slot machines, that the signs everyone talks about are designed to manipulate you, that there's a difference between real mathematical indicators and psychological traps. You're absolutely right, and I'm about to expose exactly which signs are real and which ones are costing you money. Before I reveal the truth, I need 3 things immediately. First, hit that like button right now. Second, subscribe and activate notifications because casinos do not want this information reaching players. Third, comment below. What sign do you look for when choosing a slot machine? And where did you learn it? I'm going to destroy the most profitable myths casinos love. Then reveal what actually matters mathematically. Some of what I'm about to tell you will contradict everything you've heard, but I'm going to prove it with facts, mathematics, and insider knowledge. Let's start by destroying the most expensive myth that costs players more money than any other lie in gambling. Myth destroyed. Slot machines don't run hot or cold, and believing they do will cost you more money than any other single misconception. This is the foundation myth that destroys more bankrolls faster than anything else I witnessed as a casino employee. Players say, "That machine just paid someone, so it's cold now," or "That machine hasn't hit in hours, so it's hot and due." Both statements are mathematically impossible. Every modern slot machine operates using a random number generator, an RNG. This computer chip generates billions of random number sequences every single second continuously, whether anyone plays the machine or it sits completely idle. When you press spin, the RNG selects one specific sequence in that microsecond. That sequence determines your outcome before the reels even start moving. Here's what you must understand. Every spin is completely independent from every other spin in the machine's entire history. The RNG has zero memory capability whatsoever. It doesn't know the machine just paid $5,000. It doesn't know the machine hasn't triggered a bonus in 6 hours. It doesn't track how much money you've inserted. Every single spin has identical probability to every spin before it. This means hot machines don't exist. Cold machines don't exist. Do machines don't exist. These are human pattern recognition errors projected onto pure mathematics that doesn't recognize or respond to patterns. When you believe machines run hot or cold, you make devastating financial errors. You avoid machines that just paid someone because you think they're cold. You chase machines that haven't paid because you think they're due. You waste time watching machines trying to identify patterns that mathematically cannot exist. The casino loves this myth. It keeps you moving around the floor, trying different machines, feeding more money into more machines. If you understood that every machine has identical random probability, regardless of recent history, you'd simply pick one machine you enjoy and play it. But the hot and cold myth makes you a hunter, constantly searching, constantly feeding money into multiple machines. Let me tell you about a player I'll call Anthony. Anthony was absolutely convinced he'd mastered the art of identifying hot and cold cycles. He'd arrive at the casino with a notebook and spend 45 minutes walking the floor, watching machines, taking notes about which ones had paid recently and which ones hadn't. Anthony had this elaborate system where he'd avoid any machine that had paid out in the last hour, because he believed it was entering a cold cycle. He'd specifically target machines that had been played heavily without significant payouts, convinced they were warming up and about to go hot. Over 26 months that I documented his play, Anthony deposited approximately $67,000 into slot machines. His returns totaled approximately $38,000. He lost $29,000 chasing a pattern that doesn't exist anywhere except human psychology. The brutal mathematics. Anthony would have gotten identical results if he'd randomly selected machines without his observation system. Actually, he would have done better because he would have saved the 45 minutes of observation time, played fewer spins, and lost less money. His system didn't help him. It actively hurt him by keeping him in the casino longer. Here's technical reality from someone who worked with slot technicians. The RNG doesn't cycle through hot and cold phases. It generates true random number sequences continuously. The phrase, random number generator, isn't metaphorical. It's literal. Each outcome is randomly generated with no relationship to previous outcomes. The real sign to look for: there is no sign. Every spin on every machine has identical probability. The machine that just paid someone has the exact same odds as the machine that hasn't paid anyone in hours. Understanding this prevents the single most expensive mistake in slot gambling. Now, let me reveal what actually matters mathematically instead of mythologically. Truth number 1. RTP and denomination create genuine mathematical differences, and understanding this gives you real advantage. RTP means return to player, the percentage of all money wagered that a machine returns over its operational lifetime. A machine programmed at 91% RTP returns $91 for every $100 wagered over millions of spins. The other $9 is house edge. Here's the critical pattern that actually matters. Denomination directly correlates with RTP. This is verifiable, documented, and consistent across the industry. Penny slots, 84% to 88% RTP average. Nickel slots, 87% to 90%. Quarter slots, 89% to 92%. Dollar slots, 91% to 94%. $5 slots and higher, 93% to 96% or better. That's a potential 12 percentage point RTP difference between penny slots and $5 slots. Over thousands of spins, this compounds into hundreds or thousands of dollars difference in outcomes. This isn't superstition or myth. This is mathematical programming reality. Why does this pattern exist? Because casinos generate more revenue per spin on higher denominations, allowing them to offer better player returns while maintaining profit margins. A $5 machine generates equivalent revenue in 50 spins that a penny machine needs 4,000 spins to generate. But critical balance. Better RTP means absolutely nothing if you can't afford adequate spin volume. If you only have $200 and play $8 spins, you get 25 spins maximum. That's insufficient volume for RTP to matter statistically. You're purely gambling on short-term variance. The optimal strategy: play the highest denomination your bankroll can support for minimum 150 to 200 spins. For most recreational players with $300 to $500 budgets, that's quarters to dollars. Truth number 2. Machine location matters, but not the way players think it does. Players believe myths like machines by entrances are looser to attract customers, or end-of-row machines pay better. Both are false. But location does matter for a completely different reason that casinos don't advertise. Here's operational reality. Casinos strategically position machines based on performance data to maximize revenue. This was directly part of my job responsibilities. Every morning, management reviewed overnight performance reports. Machines performing above their programmed RTP, paying out more than expected, would get flagged. Then we'd relocate them. We'd physically move overperforming machines to less visible floor positions. Why? Because an overperforming machine in a prime high-traffic location costs the casino significantly more money. If a machine is already paying more than its programming predicts, and it's in an area where hundreds of players will discover it, that multiplies casino losses exponentially. So we'd relocate overperforming machines to back corners, near restrooms, in low-traffic sections. We weren't changing any settings whatsoever. That requires extensive regulatory processes. We were managing placement strategically to minimize exposure and limit damage to revenue. Conversely, we'd move underperforming machines, those holding more than expected, to prime center floor locations. Maximum visibility, maximum traffic, optimized profit. The real sign to look for. Walk the entire casino floor systematically, not just main aisles. Check machines in low-traffic areas deliberately. If you see a popular game suddenly appear in an unusual, out-of-the-way location, there's probably a performance-based reason. It may have been paying too well somewhere else. Let me tell you about my colleague Daniel, who managed floor operations at a different property. Daniel told me about a Lightning Link machine that was statistically overperforming in their main entrance location. Over 2 weeks, it paid out 97% when its programming called for 92% hold. Management was frustrated. That's a 5% revenue difference, which seems small but represents thousands of dollars on a heavily played machine in a prime location. So, at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, Daniel's team relocated that machine to a corner position near the back service corridor. The machine's performance didn't change. It was still programmed identically. But player discovery dropped by approximately 70%. The same machine, same programming, now generating 70% less exposure to players. That's strategic placement managing revenue, not changing odds. A savvy advantage player Daniel knew personally noticed the relocation. He'd been tracking that specific machine for weeks. He found it in its new position the next day and played for 2 hours. He hit 3 bonus rounds during that time. The machine was still performing above its statistical average. It just wasn't in a location where hundreds of players would find it. That player made approximately $2,100 because he paid attention to floor changes as performance signals, not random maintenance decisions. Now, let me expose the psychological manipulation tactics casinos deliberately employ to keep you playing longer. Manipulation Tactic 1. Near misses are programmed psychological weapons designed to make you think you're close to winning when you're not. Near misses occur when jackpot symbols land just above or below the pay line, or when bonus symbols appear on 2 of 3 reels, but not all 3. These almost wins that aren't wins whatsoever. Here's truth casino employees know, but players don't. Near misses are deliberately programmed into slot machine software. They're not accidents or random occurrences. They're sophisticated psychological manipulation tools engineered based on behavioral psychology research. Modern slot machines don't use physical reels to determine outcomes. They use an RNG that selects the final result instantaneously when you press spin. The visible reels then spin purely for entertainment, displaying that predetermined result. But game manufacturers deliberately design the reel mapping, the specific positioning and distribution of symbols across each reel, to generate near misses at frequencies far higher than pure random distribution would naturally produce. Why? Because extensive neuroscience research demonstrates that human brains process near misses almost identically to actual wins. You think, I almost hit it, just 1 position away, 1 more spin. This triggers dopamine release, the identical pleasure chemical associated with genuine victories. You experience physiological excitement despite losing money. Gaming regulatory bodies investigated near-miss programming throughout the 1980s after complaints from addiction treatment professionals. Some regulators proposed complete prohibition because it was so psychologically manipulative. Casino industry lobbying prevented that outcome. The compromise? Near misses can't occur more frequently than the game's underlying mathematical model naturally allows. That sounds protective, but means essentially nothing. Manufacturers simply design real maps where near misses are mathematically frequent within permitted parameters. It's completely legal, universally implemented, and costing you extraordinary money by extending sessions beyond rational decision-making. The real truth: near misses provide zero information about subsequent spins. The machine isn't warming up. You aren't getting close. The RNG doesn't track or respond to what displayed visually. Recognize near misses as psychological manipulation, not as signals predicting anything. Manipulation Tactic 2. Losses disguised as wins systematically confuse your perception of financial performance. This represents perhaps the most insidious practice in contemporary slot design. The industry openly discusses this using the acronym LDW. Losses disguised as wins. Here's the operational mechanism. You wager $2 on a spin. Reels stop. Dramatic lighting activates. Upbeat celebration music plays. Elaborate animations fill the screen. Digital coins cascade everywhere. You experience the complete physiological sensation of winning. You check your credit display. You won $1.20. You wagered $2 and received $1.20. You just lost 80 cents, but the machine celebrated as though you hit a progressive jackpot. Academic studies analyzing contemporary multi-line slot machines document that LDWs occur on 35% to 48% of all spins. Nearly half the time, you're experiencing net financial losses, while the machine systematically manipulates your brain into perceiving success. Why do casinos implement this? Because rigorous research proves it works with devastating effectiveness. Human brains release dopamine responding to celebration signals, lights, sounds, animations, not responding to actual mathematical outcomes. The sensory celebration triggers identical neurological pleasure responses as genuine wins even when you're losing money. This dramatically extends average session duration. It creates profound confusion about actual financial position. It generates false perception of success, completely disconnected from reality. In operational review meetings, we analyzed data demonstrating that LDW implementation increased average player session time by 38% to 47%. That translates directly to 38% to 47% additional money extracted from each player. This wasn't accidental feature implementation. This was deliberate behavioral engineering refined through decades of research. Let me tell you about a player I monitored on a Wheel of Fortune machine for nearly 7 hours one Friday. She celebrated continuously throughout her entire session, cheering, clapping, performing little victory dances. Other players passing by assumed she was experiencing extraordinary luck. I had access to her precise machine performance data. Over 7 hours, she inserted $730 in cash. The machine returned $490 in payouts. She experienced a net loss of $240. But because of relentless LDW celebrations, the machine generating elaborate celebrations for wins as small as 30 cents on $2 bets, she genuinely believed she was having a phenomenally successful session. When she finally cashed out, she told other players it had been the best day ever. She possessed zero awareness that she'd just paid $240 for 7 hours of entertainment disguised as winning. The solution demands discipline. Completely ignore every machine celebration without exception. Track exclusively your actual credit balance. Set smartphone timers for every 20 minutes. When the alarm activates, document your exact credit amount. If you're below your starting balance, you're losing, period. Regardless of celebrations or digital confetti. Manipulation Tactic 3. Casino comps are calculated on your theoretical loss and algorithmically timed to prevent departure when you should leave. Let me explain how player tracking actually functions. When you insert your player's card, the casino's system initiates comprehensive data collection. Average wager per spin, spins per hour, total session duration, game preferences, volatility tolerance, complete coin-in totals, and most critically, real-time calculation of your theo. Theo represents theoretical loss. It's mathematical modeling predicting precisely how much money the casino expects you to lose based on your behavioral patterns combined with that machine's programmed RTP. Example: you're wagering $3 per spin on a machine programmed at 91% RTP, averaging 400 spins hourly. The system calculates you're theoretically losing $108 per hour. That's your theo. Casino comps are calculated as fixed percentages of your theo, typically 25% to 35% depending on tier status. Not based on actual losses, not based on loyalty appreciation, based purely on expected theoretical losses. But here's where manipulation becomes sophisticated. The tracking system monitors behavioral patterns statistically correlated with imminent departure, decreasing play velocity, reducing average wagers, extended pauses, frequent glances toward exits, checking phones repeatedly. When these indicators exceed algorithmic thresholds, the system automatically generates targeted comp offers specifically calculated to extend your session without human intervention. You've been playing 4 hours. You're down $400. You're genuinely fatigued and seriously considering cashing out. Precisely at that moment, a floor attendant appears with a complimentary dinner voucher. Or your card reader displays, "Congratulations, you've earned $100 free play." This isn't coincidence. This is algorithmic behavioral intervention timed precisely based on predictive analytics. The casino's calculation, providing you a $50 comp, has 78% probability of extending your session minimum 90 minutes, during which you'll theoretically lose another $270. That's 440% return on comp investment. Let me tell you about a player named Gerald. Gerald played dollar slots regularly with a $500 weekly budget. One Wednesday, Gerald was down approximately $420 over 3.5 hours, displaying obvious departure signals: slower play, heavy sighing, checking his watch repeatedly. Our system triggered intervention. Complimentary buffet dinner for two, $120 value. Gerald accepted gratefully. He and his wife enjoyed 90-minute dinner, relaxed, and Gerald's mood improved dramatically. After dinner, Gerald returned to slots, just to play a little more after that great meal. Over the next 2 hours, 40 minutes, Gerald lost an additional $590. The casino invested $120 in food cost and extracted $590 in incremental losses, a 392% return. Gerald departed believing the casino had treated him exceptionally well. The reality was algorithmic manipulation timed precisely to prevent his departure at the mathematically optimal moment. Recognition is defense. When you receive comp offers, recognize them as retention mechanisms calculated to extract additional money. Use them as signals to cash out immediately, not to continue playing. Now, let me reveal the only 2 strategies providing genuine protection: bankroll management and exit discipline. Strategy 1. Bankroll management using the 1% rule represents your only mathematical defense. The overwhelming majority of players enter casinos with zero financial strategy. They bring whatever money they can afford to risk and play continuously until depletion or until hitting something substantial. This approach optimizes casino profitability. If you're going to gamble, follow this rule religiously. Never wager more than 1% of your total available bankroll on any individual spin. If you bring $500, your maximum bet is $5 per spin. Not 6, not 7, 5. This rule exists specifically to protect you from variance. Inherent statistical fluctuations in probability-based activities. Slot machines exhibit extreme volatility. You can easily experience 70 to 90 consecutive losing spins without meaningful returns. If you're wagering 4% or 6% of your bankroll per spin, normal variance obliterates you financially. You possess no recovery buffer, but wagering 1% provides 100 spins of cushion before theoretical complete loss. That buffer creates adequate opportunity for bonus features to trigger or winning sequences to develop. Additionally, establish 4 non-negotiable limits before playing. Total bankroll limit. Exact dollar amount you're bringing. Absolutely 0 ATM visits once exhausted. Loss limit. Maximum you'll lose in any session. Typically 25% to 30% of total bankroll. When hit, leave immediately. Win limit. Predetermined profit target triggering serious evaluation about continuing or cashing out. Time limit. Maximum session duration regardless of financial position. When expired, evaluate whether to continue. Write these physically. Make them concrete, not vague intentions. Strategy 2. The hit-and-run strategy represents your only realistic path to leaving ahead. Here's brutal mathematical truth. The longer you remain in a casino, the more mathematically certain it becomes that you'll lose everything. This isn't pessimism. This is irrefutable probability. The RTP is always below 100%, meaning house advantage always exists. Variance inevitably normalizes toward expected value. Statistical regression to the mean is guaranteed. The house edge systematically grinds down your bankroll. Given sufficient time, the casino always wins. Always. The only strategy with realistic success probability is hit-and-run methodology. Enter with specific predetermined plan. Play for strictly limited duration. Immediately depart when you reach either win limit or loss limit, whichever occurs first. 0 exceptions. The tiny minority of players I observed who consistently departed ahead across multiple sessions shared one critical characteristic: absolute time discipline. They played 60 to 90 minutes maximum, then departed regardless of whether winning or losing. Why? Because they understood profoundly that every additional minute represents another minute of exposure to mathematical house advantage. They respected variance. They understood favorable streaks evaporate within minutes. Let me tell you about a player named Kathleen, who exemplified intelligent play. Kathleen arrived monthly with $400 and absolute iron discipline about limits. Kathleen's predetermined rules. If she doubled her money to $800, she immediately cashed out and left. If she lost $150, 37.5% of bankroll, she immediately left. Her typical session lasted 65 to 80 minutes. Over 19 months that I documented her play, Kathleen deposited approximately $7,600 total. Her returns were approximately $6,700. She lost $1,000 over 19 months, representing approximately $53 monthly average cost for entertainment. For context, most regular players lose 18% to 28% of total deposits over similar timeframes. Kathleen's 13% loss rate was exceptional, achieved purely through disciplined machine selection, bankroll management, and exit discipline. Kathleen proves that while you can't beat slots mathematically long-term, you can minimize losses dramatically and occasionally walk away ahead by playing intelligently with absolute discipline. Let's summarize what's real versus what's myth. Myths debunked. Hot and cold machines don't exist. Every spin is independent. Machines aren't due to hit. Time of day doesn't affect anything. Players' club cards don't make you lose. Casino employees don't have inside information. Near misses don't predict payouts. Location myths about entrances and corners are false. Truths revealed. RTP and denomination create genuine mathematical differences. Higher denominations offer dramatically better returns. Machine relocation indicates performance, not random maintenance. Near misses are programmed manipulation tools. LDWs confuse your perception systematically. Comps are timed retention mechanisms based on Theo. Strategies that actually work. The 1% bankroll rule protects against variance. Predetermined limits prevent emotional decisions. Hit-and-run methodology is your only realistic winning approach. Time discipline beats mathematical grinding. Here's ultimate truth. The casino always has mathematical advantage. You cannot beat slots long-term, but understanding what's real versus what's myth dramatically changes your experience. Most players lose because they believe profitable lies that casinos actively encourage. They chase hot machines. They think machines are due. They ignore RTP differences. They fall for psychological manipulation. They stay after winning. They make emotional decisions. Every myth you believe costs you money. Every truth you understand protects you. Knowledge is your only genuine edge in casinos. Casinos profit enormously from information asymmetry. They possess complete data about machine performance, psychological tactics, and mathematical models. You possess virtually nothing without this knowledge. What I've revealed substantially balances that information gap in your favor. It doesn't eliminate house edge. It doesn't transform gambling into investment. It helps you play significantly smarter and avoid the most profitable lies. If you found this valuable, I need 3 actions immediately. First, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'm continuing to expose casino industry myths and reveal mathematical truths that protect your money. This information isn't taught anywhere else. Second, share this video. Send it to anyone who plays slots. Post in gambling communities. More players understanding truth benefits everyone. Third, watch this video here where I reveal the specific slot machine types that actually offer the best mathematical value and why casinos position them where they do. Before closing, the mandatory legal disclaimer. If you or someone you know struggles with gambling addiction, seek professional help immediately. Contact the National Council on Problem Gambling at 1-800-522-4700. Available 24 hours daily. This video is educational. I'm teaching existing gamblers to distinguish truth from profitable lies. I'm not encouraging gambling or suggesting consistent profit is possible. Slots should be treated as entertainment expense, never as income opportunity. The house maintains mathematical advantage in every game. You're paying for entertainment. If you expect profit, you misunderstand probability. But with this knowledge, you can play substantially smarter. You can avoid profitable myths. You can recognize manipulation tactics. You can minimize losses. You can occasionally walk away ahead. The truths are yours now. Use them intelligently. Ignore hot and cold myths. Play higher denominations your bankroll supports. Scout relocated machines. Recognize near misses and LDWs as manipulation. Use comps as exit signals. Follow the 1% rule. Set concrete limits. Practice hit-and-run methodology. The casino is mathematically designed to win. But informed players who understand truth versus myth minimize that edge dramatically. Knowledge is your weapon. Truth is your protection. Discipline is your strategy. Play smart, reject myths, and remember, the most profitable lies casinos spread are the ones that keep you playing longer. Until next time, stay informed.